with my tea and ask God to, please take the weight off of me. So I guess that would be selfish, because I wasn't proactive. I wasn't actively praying. I was for years, decades, I just sat around and ate junk and asked God to remove the junk from me. I just wanted to comment on that, but I guess I answered my own question with the word selfish. I mean, I think it's okay. I think it's good to pray for yourself, for good things to happen in your life that are just like a partner, to have a good partner, a good spouse, if you're working hard or what have you. I'm kind of conflicted about that. We are careful never for our own selfish ends. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Desiree. That was great. Anybody else want to comment on that? And we've kind of kicked this around a little bit. The line, there are many helpful books also. In other words, I hear concepts of, and I'll just be a little specific here. There are people in the Overeaters Anonymous, I only want to read OA books. I don't want to read any of the AA books. And then I've heard one person, I won't mention his name, who got up at a big OA convention and said, the big book is all you need. You don't need anything else. What a moron. But anyway, only Rick's opinion.
I think, personally, I really like the OA books. And there's one called The New Beginnings, Stories of Recovery from Relapse, that I've never heard anyone mention before. But we read a story from it on the bridge meeting. And it's such a sad story that several people left the meeting. But I always thought it was a very powerful story because it reminded me that this is a life and death disease. Exactly like alcoholism. I pass.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks. Anybody else? Can somebody pick up the reading as we go through the day?
I'll do it. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we're no longer running the show, humbly saying ourselves many times each day, "Thy will be done." We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we're not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. If that works is dead. I'll share on that. It's so true. When I'm not burning up energy thinking about all the people I hate or who have wronged me or who I've wronged or who's trying to get over on me or who a knucklehead because they didn't show up for work or who screwed this up or did that wrong. When I'm not trying to worry about all the things in life, but instead I'm saying, God, I give everything to you and thy will be done. Meaning I give my thinking and my life over to you. I can be much more effective during the day. I have a lot more energy to get things done. Sure, I may be tired by the end of the day, as anyone would be, but I'm not wasting time worrying about BS. I'm letting God handle that. And in God's time, God works out those problems. God works out those problems. And when I'm agitated or doubtful, I have to say, that will be done. God, you handle this. Or I can't. I like saying, I can't, but you can. That one works for me a lot because it reminds me of how little I am and how big he is. Pass.
Thanks, Francis. Thanks. That was great. Anybody else?
Sure, I really related to what Francis said. there's part of me that because I was brought up Christian, I don't believe faith. I don't really believe faith without works. That idea, because it was the opposite. I was taught the opposite. That you need to recognize God's existence. That He is so great. That's the main thing. I think both are true, really. But I've been fortunate that I've been able to develop a conception of that higher power that's much clearer, in that sense of the presence. You know, the power of the presence being with me, and to learn a little bit about how to hear that voice. During the break, I actually meditated for 40 minutes, and I have a practice of meditation where I try and get in 2 hours a day, and I only do that because I enjoy it. But I get ideas, and I see how stupid I am also, with great clarity. I pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi. I think I'm really happy with that part of my life. I'm really before I used to say, oh, this person's trying to screw me, or they just want to do this, and have their best interests at heart. They don't have my best interests at heart, and blah, 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 blah. And, I am like there's 6 of us in the family, and I'm the oldest girl. I have 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. So I'm like the bridge between my brothers and my sisters, and it's tiring about how much anger there is in my family. My father was a functioning alcoholic. My mother comes from a family of alcoholism also, but she's not an alcoholic. But just to talk to my sisters when they're having a squabble or what have you, and I don't get involved. I mean, I'm so much at peace now, and I attributed that to the OA lifestyle. And it is such a lifestyle, and it's a roadmap to how to live your life. And the biggest thing about me is that I'm going to cry. I know there's things that I'm doing wrong in my life, and I do them anyway because I enjoy it, or I'm having fun, and I know it's not right, and I know I shouldn't do it, and I know I have a feeling it's going to one day mess with my abstinence. I'm not sure, but it's not right now. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I guess that's foolish decisions. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. We're glad you're here. I was at a meeting on Thursday, and you can't cross talk in meetings, and a woman said, I've been the Lone Ranger, and I wanted to say to her, even the Lone Ranger had Tonto. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it because that's crosstalk. So Rick is doing slightly better. Slightly better. And then in the 1940s, they had guided meditation meetings.
But, I just want to say a quick thing about that. I found out in my intergroup here in the Hudson Valley OA intergroup, they have a meditation meeting, which is a 2-way meditation meeting. I think it's on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. But I guess it's considered a standard format where they do the 2-way prayer thing. And it's exactly like Wally P., the author of Back to Basics, teaches it. So that's the way he teaches it. So I don't know how that got started in OA, but it must be propagated to some degree. Pass.
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else? Now, we're talking about step 11. Note things you see that inspire you. Note things that you hear that inspire you. And then sensations that you have. How do you feel? And the sensation of knowing, thoughts that come to you. And then here's our little history lesson. I thought this was tremendous. Anne Smith was a circuit speaker, this is Dr. Bob's wife, in the Oxford group. Many phrases in the book Alcoholics Anonymous come from Anne Smith. Bill Wilson offered authorship of the chapter to wives to Anne Smith. Lois got mad. Anne turned Bill down. Bill offered Lois the chance to write the chapter. But Lois also turned Bill down. So Bill ended up writing the chapter to wives in the book Alcoholics Anonymous. We're going to spend 5 minutes writing. And this is one way that God can speak to you. And then I want to tell you, if you're willing, after we do our 5 minutes of writing, we will read to the other people in the group what we wrote. You can test when you write if it's in harmony with love, purity, honesty, and usefulness. Or not usefulness, unselfishness. That word's supposed to be unselfishness, sorry. And then I will just mention before we get going that I used to not write. And I went to that workshop a couple months ago, and they said to write, and then they suggested that I write 5 minutes every day, and I've been doing it since. And I do my writing, and in the morning after my prayers, and I take a picture of it, and I send it to my sponsor. And it took me about 3 days to where I got to where I like writing. It's helpful to me. But anyway, we got 5 minutes here of writing. And
Rick.
Yes, what have I done?
What are we writing about?
You're writing about things that you see that inspire you. Let me leave that on the page.
Okay,
Things
sorry.
you hear that inspire you, how you feel, and thoughts that come to you. And sometimes a thought will come to you and you'll write it down. It's called three-way prayer or something. Mm-hmm. It's really not for you. When you read it to the rest of the group, it's intended for someone else. But no one has to read what they write, okay? But anyway, let's do 5 minutes of writing. And you can even write the first sentence. I don't like that Rick asked me to write. So I'm writing part of it for you. Alrighty, we got most of 5 minutes done. Does somebody want to read what they wrote? I can get us going. My name is Rick. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm glad to be here. I'm grateful to everyone who came today. Life is good. My lousiest day in recovery is better than my best day when I have my face in a pile of food. That was a miserable existence. I am excited to take a walk with my dogs after the workshop. I'm looking forward to a 10-mile walk tomorrow. With God's help, I can do all 10 miles. I am looking forward to walking a half marathon next month in Hawaii. Pass.
Hi, I'm Desiree, compulsive overeater. Things that you see inspire you. What really inspires me when I see the worth of a lot of people, especially the elderly people. And, you know, there are some, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that have to work, but there's some that are out there working because they just don't want to sit at home. They want to be out in the world. And I just admire that, you know, people that always have the self-will to, you know, get up, go to work or go volunteer or whatever. I admire that. I also admire, I like to sit outside and just watch little animals, what they do, like if it's collecting stuff for their home or food or what have you, just, you know, makes me think of, you know, how much this little animal goes through to make their living, you know, either it's gathering food or materials for their nest, what have you. And then know things you hear that inspire you. There's something inspirational when people express love for one another and gratefulness. It hits me in my heart. And then I really enjoy listening to a lot of religious speakers. And number 3, sensations. How do you feel? I feel good when I exercise every day. I exercise every single day. It makes me physically and emotionally well. And I did miss it for a while when I had COVID again, the end of October. And I was just out of sorts for a while. It took me a while to get back into the groove of things, and I'm back. And it's just been incredible, and it just made me realize how important it is for me to exercise every day for my mental health and my physical health, and just keeps me grounded. The sensations of knowing, thoughts that come to me, that's something that I struggle with. I have a very negative, even though I'm an extremely positive person. If you know me, I'm extremely positive, but in my head, there's nothing but negativity that's talking to me constantly about myself. Like, you're not pretty enough, you're not thin enough, you're not smart enough. And I just want to quiet that. I just want that to stop. And I'm just so tired of hearing that. And it comes and goes. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. And it's not that I need a lot of attention. It's just hard when you always have that in your head, doubting everything. Even just making a decision. You know, I was married for over 25 years, and my husband made all the decisions. And when things happen, I don't know what to do. You know, and I'm almost 60 years old. I'm 58, and I still feel like a kid, you know. And it's like I want somebody just to tell me what to do. And it's hard being an adult. Thank you for letting me share.
Desiree, thanks for sharing. We're glad you came.
Jerry, can I share?
Yeah, go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
No things that inspire me. Rick, you inspire me, and Francis and Alan. You're guys that I know. Desiree, you're a new friend. All of the people that are present here. But I talk to Rick and Francis on an almost daily basis, or quite often, and I'm always inspired after those calls. But I also have found that reading about the founding fathers and certain people who have changed history, recently U.S. Grant and Abe Lincoln, has really helped me to realize, wow, they really were fine people. And also, I got interested in some generals from the South, like Stonewall Jackson is a very interesting guy, and et cetera. But anyway, that helped. They were very religious, I think, is really the way that they talked about providence, always talking about providence, very interesting. Because that's the way that I want to feel about my higher power. Other things I didn't really write about, I got an idea that I'm inspired by the Back to Basics meeting format, and I realize how different it is from regular meetings where you have to go through an intergroup and be part of a larger governing organization. I'm really enjoying the way people are talking freely at this meeting with less rules, and I think what Wally wanted with this, and I believe he has said this, is that once you take this Back to Basics workshop, you would be equipped, and you go away with this document, and you could start a Back to Basics meeting where you are. It's a self-propagating OA or anything meeting. It doesn't need the intergroup. Could be part of it, but it can travel on its own. Anyway, I pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks. Anybody else want to share what they wrote?
Hey guys, this is Dolly. I am an obsessive compulsive overeater. I'm not as eloquent as I want to be. And things that I see that inspire me is like Desiree inspires me all the time. She works hard. Trying to stay on point with her diet and everything. And she works hard at a whole bunch of stuff. She doesn't see it in herself, but I see it. And the same thing, Rick, with you. You're such an inspiration. You are. It's like, I look at you and I'm thinking, Rick's got it going. He knows he's got everything going. If I could just sit and listen to him 24/7, I wouldn't have any problems. And there's others. I have a close friend that belongs with my church, and she inspires me. And, and then corny things like just being outside. This whole world that our higher power created for us is such an inspiration. The more time I spend outside, the more successful I am staying abstinent and on point. Rick, did you want to say something?
No, I was agreeing. I didn't want to say it verbally. I gave you a thumbs up. That was a good job.
Thank you.
Good job. I agree. Amen. Nonverbal.
Yeah. The OA meetings inspire me. My daughter, she's working out almost every single day. And she's 21. But for her to stick to it, she's been doing it for several months now. I'm so proud of her, and she inspires me to keep working out because next month I'm going to be having both my knees replaced. So I have got to get my physical strength up like something crazy. So that's an inspiration. And then, of course, she and Desiree both helped me with that. I hadn't really talked to anybody else about it, but here we go. Sounds that inspire me. Oh, my stars. There's so many uplifting things that I hear when I attend OA meetings. There are so many stories of struggling and working on staying abstinent, and people give me little tidbits of what is working for them. And, that's very, very inspiring. Also, and I'm not saying this for kudos, like, yay me. I'm saying it, I've worked hard, and the doctor told me that my A1C is 5.5 versus 6.7. And no, I don't need to be on diabetic medication. I went home and cried because I had worked so hard to get there. But then I would be nowhere if it wasn't for people like that I have in my life, that my higher power has put into my life to help support me. And so that's inspiring. And when I hear other people's success stories, I'm like, they did it. I've got to work harder because I know I can do it. And sensations, oh my stars, I feel so much better. And I don't have to struggle to put the seatbelt on. I've done that for so many years, and it amazes me. I'm in the front seat of the car with the seatbelt on, and I can still bend over and touch my toes. Thank you, Lord. I know that may sound silly to some people, but oh my gosh, years and years and years. It was like I've been pregnant for so long, because that's the way I was when I was pregnant. I couldn't bend over with a seatbelt on, and I feel better when I work out. And being outside walking, just the whole sensation of absorbing the outside, the sounds, the smells, the effort of walking. I actually recently walked from one end of my apartment complex to the other and did it in less than 10 minutes. It's really not that far, but for me, it might have been miles and miles and miles. But I recently was able to do that. And the sensation of feeling the strain in my muscles, but still being able to do it, I'm just very, very grateful. And number 4, I'm still working on that one. It's very hard for me to put down in writing personal stuff about me, because once it's written down, somebody could find that 300 years from now and they're like, oh, look what this lady wrote. So that's an insecurity of mine, but I am learning, and in a lot of ways, it's setting me free emotionally for things that I've kept locked deep inside myself, which promoted my reading. So writing down stuff works. It's not easy, but it works. But thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. We're glad you're here. Did anybody else want to read what they wrote?
I took the opportunity to do a step 10 to my boss who I woke up this morning. So I'm a night shift nurse, and I woke her up before I left because I had to get in touch with her, and she said, you could have called me in 2 hours after I'm awake. So I took the chance to do the step 10. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen. Thanks. Anybody else? All righty, we're moving along here. We did our writing. Love, purity, honesty, and unselfishness. Gratitude and grumbling cannot coexist. Gratitude and grumbling cannot coexist. Trust the journey. Knowing that you do not know is knowing. And then this is just a question for everyone who's here. Are you happier now than you were when you got here at the beginning of the workshop? I am.
I am, Terry.
Good, Terry.
I am.
And then the same question, are you glad you came today? I'm glad
Yes,
I
I
came.
am. I'm glad I came too.
Yeah, this is what is this, the fourth one? Right?
Yeah, sounds right. Sounds right.
I really coming to rely on it and see it as one of my meetings. That
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, thank you for the service of putting it together.
Oh, listen,
Sorry, Terry, I didn't mean to step on you.
That's
no,
okay.
we're
Go
good.
ahead.
We're good.
Yeah, I definitely.
I just wanted to finish. Let me just finish what I was saying, which was that every time I get more out of it because this has always been hard for me, the steps, and I just have to return to it. And I never realized. I'll just shut up. Thank you. It's great.
Thanks. Desiree?
I'm very grateful to be here. I'm glad I came today, and it made me realize that I need to work on some more stuff. I have a tendency to get busy with things I shouldn't be busy with, and I need to work on things I need to work on. So it keeps me honest. You know, this 12-step, I've been quite a few times, and I love it. And yeah, keeps me honest. For sure. Thank you, Rick.
Excellent. And then, of course, steps 10 through 12 give you guidance. That's what they're there for, to give you guidance. And I think I already talked about this. It is suggested that we write for 5 minutes every day so that God can speak to you. It's one of the tools we use. And of course, here's all the things. Steps 1, 2, 3 is surrender. Steps 4 to 6 is sharing. Steps 8 and 9 are restitution. That's you're making your amends. And then steps 10 through 12 is guidance. Okay, now this is a question which I added. What are ways that you have improved your conscious contact with God as you understand Him?
Rick, may I?
Go.
If we've got a second. It's funny. Terry put in the chat something that I was going to speak about. When Terry and I are both on the same wavelength. One of the things that I've gotten from one of our brothers in the OA is two-way prayer. And what I do is, and the way that I do it is, I use the computer a lot, and I'm most comfortable when I'm sitting at the computer, and I type in with my eyes open what my question is to God. And then I close my eyes and just leave my keys on the keyboard. And I'm a typist, so I can type out God's answer. I've heard other people say, write your question with your dominant hand and then write God's answer with your non-dominant hand. Of course, if I do that, I can't read my dominant hand anyway, so I can't read my non-dominant hand. But it's amazing what your fingers will do and the answers that come from God. So that's one of the ways that I do that. And I'm very interested in that meeting that Terry posted in the chat bar. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Anybody else that wants to share on ways that you have improved your conscious contact with God as you understand Him?
This is Jerry. I do meditation. I do prayer. Try to learn new prayers. There's a lot of them. And I read books that are of a spiritual nature. In fact, I read a book at the beginning of the pandemic called The Cave in the Snow. It's about a female, a nun, a Tibetan nun that went and lived in a cave for 13 years, 10,000 feet in the Himalayas, and because I knew there was going to be a lot of isolation. So I found that book and read it. That helped me. And I just want to speak to one thing. My sponsor who's Wally, told me it's the negative thinking. I don't know where he just got on that thread with me. I was like, yeah. And he goes, he gave me some books to read about positive self-talk. I have them. And it was funny because I had an ongoing conversation with a friend of mine about positive thinking that is realistic and reasonable positive thinking. So we had already, in another conversation, me and my friend had decided that reasonable positive thinking, where you don't like wish for $1 billion. You wish for things that are reasonable. And these books that I found, that Wally gave to me, really helped me with that. It's just this reasonable thread of thinking that isn't negative. And I'll put a link in there to the book that I've, 2 or 3 of the books that I'm, if that's okay, I think we can post stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the one that I'm is a 365 days of positive self-talk, I think is what it's called. So you get, it's a day book, but I passed. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Anybody else?
I would. What has helped me more is I have been more, what has improved my conscious contact with God is that I've been donating more of my finances and time to helping people that are less fortunate. A whole lot more, and I think what goes around. My daughter is extremely, ever since she was little, she's always been extremely generous, and she'll give you the last dollar in their pocket. And she has been volunteering with an organization called the Love Kitchen for a while now, and it has just come back. First, it was something mandatory by the courts. My daughter had gotten in some trouble, and she had to do 6 months of community service, so many hours. Anyway, that ended like 8 months ago, and I'm so proud of her. She still goes. She works a full-time job. She's going back to school, and just seeing how great, how she is and how giving she is of her time, her time and her finances, and just how much it come back to her, in so many ways. So I'm trying to, follow what she does, and it has. Thank you.
Thanks, Desiree. That's great. Anybody else? All righty, we're down to our 11th step nightly review prayer. We do this in unison. Prayer. God, help me to constructively review my day. Where was I resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do I owe an apology? Have I kept something to myself which should be discussed with another person at once? Was I kind and loving toward all? What could I have done better? Was I thinking of myself most of the time, or was I thinking of what I could do for others, of what I could pack into the stream of life? Please forgive me for any harms and wrongs today, and let me know corrective measures I should take. Let's give ourselves a hand. We've done step 11. This is great. This is great. One step. We got one step. 19 minutes. I think we're good. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to compulsive overeaters and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Can somebody pick up the reading with "We find that no one need have difficulty"?
We find that no one need have difficulty with the spirituality of the program. Willingness, open-mindedness are the essentials of recovery. But these principles, there is a principle which is a bar against affirmation, which is proof against all arguments, and which can fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation. Herbert Spencer.
And that's from the big book, Appendix 2, page 568. Okay, can somebody pick up the reading of Practical Experience?
I can continue because I didn't read it all.
Go ahead.
Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. With regard to self-suggestion, carry this message to other alcoholics and no one else can. You can secure the confidence when others fail. Remember, they are all ill, very ill. Life will take on new meaning to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, and to have a host of friends. That is an experience you must.
You cut out.
Miss. You know you have not want to miss. I need you to scroll up, Rick.
Up.
Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. Perhaps you're not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover. You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals. They will only be too glad to assist you. Don't start out to be an evangelist or reformer. Unfortunately, a lot of this, you would be handicapped if you arouse it. Minister and doctors are competent, and you can learn much from them if you wish. But it happens. But